Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Students, today we are going to discuss a very important topic, that is of reading paper 2 and passage 1. In passage 1, you know that passage 1 is reading for ideas, and reading for ideas has 12 marks, and summary writing has uh, 10 marks. Previously the summary writing used to have 5 marks, now the summary writing is 10 marks. This is the portion of the paper which usually students take for granted. They think that they have been doing the summary uh, for many years, and it is not going to be that difficult for them to write a summary. But the marking criteria tell you the specific uh, expectations of the examiner to give you good grades. If you fulfill those expectations, if you come up to those expectations, only then you are going to get the highest grade, A star or A. So today we are going to see what are those expectations of the examiner that you need to keep in mind when you are writing a summary. And if you follow these instructions, if you keep in mind those criteria, then definitely you are going to get good grade in summary writing. And summary writing has become more and more important, as we know that now it carries 10 marks. Previously, the before 2018, the marks were 5 and there were 15 marks for the main points. Now for the main points, the total marks have become 12. So let's start. Summary writing. The definition of a summary is that summary is a brief statement or account of the main points of something. And you also know that you need to write the summary of the main points that you have generated in part A of question number 1. Now the points to remember, and you are told in the question paper, you are instructed in the question paper that when you are writing the main points, you need not use your own words. You can simply lift the lines as well. But when you are writing the summary will not be of the whole passage. The summary will be of the main points that you have produced in part A. And when you are writing a summary, you are expected to write your own words. This is the first thing that you must keep in mind. Anyway, I have noted down all these points that you must remember to come up to the expectation of the examiner and get good marks, good grade in summary writing. First one is complete the first sentence appropriately. As you know, some initial words, around 10 words are given to you for the summary, and usually what students do, they do not complete that sentence appropriately, accurately, grammatically correctly, or logically. So the first sentence that you complete should be logical and it should be grammatically correct. This is the first thing that you must keep in mind when you are writing the summary. The second part is, that point that you must keep in mind is use of your own words. What does the using of own word means? Using your own words does not mean restructuring the sentence. Restructuring the sentence does not mean that you are using the own words. Using the own word means using synonyms where possible, like 3 to 4 or 5 synonyms that you know and you are sure about that synonym, that the synonym that you are using is appropriate, is the accurate one. You will use that synonym in that place. This is the first thing that you must do when you are writing the summary in your own words, and do it sparingly and carefully. Sparing means do not overdo it, and do it carefully only when you are sure that and synonym can be a single word, or synonym can be a phrase. A word can be replaced with a single word, or a word can be replaced with a group of words explaining that word. For example, in the passages there was a word desalination, removal of salt from the seawater. So if you want to write a summary and you want to replace the words desalination, you can also write that the process of removing salt from the seawater. So the synonym doesn't only mean that you use a single word as a synonym. You can use a phrase, a group of words to explain that word as well. Number 2, all content must be relevant and coherent. Now this is another very important point. All the points that you have included in your main points in the first part must be included in the summary, and they all must be relevant. Do not include unnecessary details that are not a part of those main points, or that are not a part of that passage. And there should be coherence. Now remember that coherence has two things in it. For a writing to be coherent, it has to be, number one, logical, and number two, in the correct order. So whatever you are writing in your summary must be in a correct order, and secondly, it must be logical. So if it is in the correct order and it is logical, it means it is coherent and it carries marks. No unnecessary repetitions. If you have already written about some main point, do not repeat it. Then fourth one is, I think, the most important one: continuous prose. First thing is that a summary always has one paragraph. A summary cannot have more than one paragraph. Secondly, it should be in a continuous form. It should not be like you just reproduce the main points in your summary by using firstly, secondly, thirdly, fourthly, fifthly, sixthly, and so on. No, it should be in a continuous prose form. It should not look like that it is produced from the main points you have just jolted down the main points in the summary by using the full stops and commas and joining it with like I told you, firstly, secondly, thirdly. No, it should look like a continuous prose, and in order for it to look like a continuous prose, you must use linking devices. Now what are the linking devices? I have given you the examples of the linking devices as well. For example, because of, due to, despite, in spite of, such as, but, although, even though, whereas, and, as a result of, therefore, however, in addition to, on the other hand, further, moreover, for example, etc. These are the linking devices that link your main points into a continuous prose. So you need to practice these linking devices so that your main points are produced in a continuous prose, and do not exceed the word limit, which is 150 to 180 words. These are all the criteria of marking in this part, that is summary writing. If you keep these in your mind, and obviously your language is very important, I mean, it should be grammatically correct, the spellings must be correct, and if you adhere to, or if you follow these instructions that are a part of your summary writing, then definitely you are going to get the desired grade that you want. I will be sending you the document of this as well, and now we will see the next paper that we are going to do today. This is the paper we are going to do. This is October-November 19. This is the insert, and as you can see, it is about honey. Passage 1. We are doing passage 1. We will do passage 1 because passage 1 has a summary. Now you will write a summary keeping in mind all those marking criteria of CAIE. Honey, go through this passage, understand it. If you have any difficult word, you can consult the dictionary, you can ask me. And after reading this passage, we have this one. This is the question paper. I'm sending you this question paper as well. This is the question paper, and as you can see in question paper, first question 1A, notes, means content points. There has to be 12 content points, and when you are doing the content points, make sure that you do not miss any content point from the passage, right? So do not restrict yourselves to total 12 points. Don't think that if you write 12 points you are going to get 12 marks, because the 2 points that you have written, 2 or 3 points even, that you have written separately in your answers, can be won in the marking scheme. So in that case, for those 3 content points you will get 1 mark, so you will lose 2 marks. So make sure that you include all the content points from the passages and you write those content points there, and you do not need to use your own words. Yes, not using your own words, I'm repeating, doesn't mean that you are restructuring the sentence. If you are restructuring the sentence, that is not the using of the own words. Yes, you restructure the sentence to make it precise so that you can write it here in the clear handwriting. Make sure that you do it in the space provided. Now this is the summary writing we are talking about, 10 marks. And you have to write the summary of your notes that you have done in the previous one, and these are the first initial words, I think 10, that are given. In former times honey was sometimes used to sweeten dishes, and you will continue the sentence. Some students tend to put the full stop right after the dishes. That is wrong too. You have to carry the sentence logically, and it appropriately, grammatically correct, and use this space. Total marks are 10, and I have told you the marking criteria of writing a summary. Now you will do it, and the main points, content points, and then the questions based on opinions. That's it for now.